But you were saying his was a home loan. Could they not try and take the house?
Sorry, I think his was actually a personal loan. No, he was actually wanting to get a home loan. So he was wanting to make sure that his credit card, I guess his debt history was clean. And I'll come to that in a minute, which is the cleaning part. Because obviously once you've actually gone through all this process and no one's been able to provide you with proof of claim that there is a debt, what they do is they discount it all, they sell it, and they report you as a bad payment, right? But nothing actually happens to you, and so
you do end up with a bad credit rating.
What you end up with is a note at one of the credit reporting agencies that says this is a default payment, okay? Because their books didn't balance. So what you do is you write another letter. This is the final stage in the cleaning side of this. You write a letter to the credit reporting agency and ask for your credit history, and then you challenge them, okay? Because they have no idea, right? They're not even the third party. They're like the fourth, fifth, or sixth party here, so they have no idea of what's right or wrong. So you actually challenge them to provide proof of claim, and if they can't do that, they have to basically correct the incorrect record, and that's how you clean it up afterwards. Okay.
And if they choose not to for some reason, they just say no.
Oh,
so
they can't. I mean, even
can you challenge them and say, I want to challenge you in the courts, and use the same process against them in the court?
You don't even need to go to court, actually. There are places that you can just sort of go and say, well, this person is reporting. They're not allowed to incorrectly report things like that. Even a debt collector, if you ask them to stop bothering you, and they don't, every time that they bother you and don't provide proof of claim, it's instantly $1,000 fine. Okay, and most people don't know that either. So yeah, it's very interesting. The disclaimer that I put on the bottom of this says, please note, incorrectly addressed mail shall be returned unopened and unread. Any and all correspondence from this point must be by mail only. John Doe does not authorize the recording of his voice at any time for any purpose, nor does he consent to being contacted by telephone, and shall enforce his copyright rights in all instances such as copyright infringement or trademark violation. No authorization for the use of John Doe TM, all caps, is implied, granted, or permitted. John Doe, all caps TM, agrees to hold harmless John Doe, the natural flesh and blood man, for all claims and liability under private contract between the parties. So there you have the complete. They cannot enter into that at all. And basically, what you have here in these situations is a failure to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. Okay. So we've done a number of those now, and it's been successful in every time, and not once have any of the credit card companies or the legal agents or the debt collectors been able to provide one instance or one iota of any evidence that there is any debt. So we didn't actually do anything wrong. We only asked some questions. We said, again, here's the conditional thing. They've sent you a statement. They can't send you an invoice because there's no money, right? If you ask them for an invoice, they can't do it. So they send you a statement. And you say, okay, well, I'm happy to pay the alleged debt upon proof of claim that there is one. Right? You try and get these guys to provide proof that there is any debt. Forget it. It never happens.
And have you got any idea how many people are actually doing this, or
I think there's quite a few people in America now doing this. Quite a number of people. And in America, they've got this thing called the UCC. For all those people who are listening in America, which is the Uniform Commercial Code. And you can actually register your strawman using the Universal Commercial Code. I think it's the UCC1. And you fill out the forms and you register. Basically, everything that you own comes under this filing, this UCC1 filing. It's an agreement which basically states that you are the owner of the right, title and interest of everything that you have, including your straw man. Okay, so they have that system, and a lot of people who are onto this redemption thing are doing it. They're doing it that way. In Australia, we don't have UCC. I don't know what we have here. I've been trying to find out, but I don't think we even really need to do that.
So have you come across other people that have done it?
Not many. I've heard of one or two in Australia, but it's pretty new here. So it is quite cutting edge.
And why do you think it's quite new? I mean, obviously, people could have been doing this for 100 years.
Yeah,
How come it's just coming out kind of...
It's information
I suppose the
control.
internet and...
Sure. Yeah. When we're fortunate that some people can get information out, and it slowly gets around, but it's certainly not mainstream. And if it does become even remotely mainstream, it becomes a joke. It's made to look ridiculous. I did hear of one case where some people had put up a sign outside of the house and they weren't paying rates because they were going through the same process, and I think it was in Toowoomba. Yeah, it was on the Foreign Affair or something.
And do you think it's a good thing to get this information out? A good thing, the more people do it, the better, or is it?
I do now.
More people are aware of it.
Yeah, I do now at this particular time because of what's going on with America and the whole. We come into the Bilderberg, the Trilateral Commission, all of the New World Order. We basically whatever. People kind of say New World Order and they go, oh, and it's all like George Orwell, right? But there is a New World Order.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's formed by all of these corporations and entities and basically all of the people who run the world. All this stuff filters down through the media. There's only 6 people who run all of the media in the whole world. There's only 6 people. And I've got a map of that somewhere on this computer, amongst all the other stuff. But it lists all of the control of the radio stations and the...
It's very evident, very obvious every time.
Yeah, the newspapers and the print, and the media. So there's only 6 people that actually run that.
Filtered through those 6 people.
And we probably won't go into the D.L. Abraham stuff or the real New World Order stuff tonight, but that's another really big deep hole that we've been researching into. It's a very, very so at this point in time, I can see that the New World Order's plan is generally population reduction by 80%. That's generally been the consensus of what they want to do. They want to reduce the whole population by 80% by whatever means. Okay, but when they come around to your house and knock on the door, they're going to be taking the straw man away for sure, because they can. They can declare a state of emergency, as they do in America. Over there, they have this scary thing called FEMA. FEMA will come knocking at your door and they'll take you away and put you on a truck and they'll lock you up in a FEMA facility, right? Because they can. Yeah, that's force. That's not law. That's force. Yeah. You're talking about private corporations assuming control over natural flesh and blood beings who have been misled into becoming entities and corporate souls unwittingly.
Without even realising it, yeah.
What do you think? What do you think was the sort of the major sort of? First of all, these common laws. I mean, when we saw the movie V.
V
Vendetta.
V for Vendetta is an interesting name.
And the Old Bailey.
Yeah.
Are those laws actually held in a repository there? Is that the...
No, the Old Bailey in England, I think it's in London, was the place in the old days, in old England, where common law courts were held. Okay, and the Old Bailey is the standing remnant of old law, of the law of the land. And so the Old Bailey has become a symbol in England of where law came from, which I think also came from Rome, right? Because England was kind of founded by Rome. So in V for Vendetta. Now, when I first saw V, I was like, yeah, this is great. Burn down the governments, right? But when I did my research, I actually found out that V was supporting Guy Fawkes. Now, in England, they have Guy Fawkes every year, and they burn Guy Fawkes. And why do they burn him?